What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building and we got to talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 5, Episode 7. Don't call it a comeback, baby. The comeback group has come back. Finally, it has happened to me. Okay. Tell me, let me know in the chatterization. For you guys watching, did it feel good to see the comeback group get back together for like the first time in I don't know how long and just sit down and have a nice Ponderosa? For me, it was because of this scene that I'm going to give this episode a 9.9 out of 10. I don't really have a direct reason for why I'm taking away that minuscule little point, but I'm taking it away mostly, I think, because of the I don't know, maybe the Tiffany and Lewis of it all. I try as best as I try to identify with them on the show. To me, it's just something about what they're doing with this baby storyline that just doesn't really resonate with me for some reason. And I don't really know what it is. Like, I just be sitting there thinking, like, I mean, okay, if you're gonna have a baby, you're gonna have a baby. Like, produce a baby, like, get the baby, have a baby, have relations, go adopt us. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, it just something about it for me and on my insides feels like it gives inauthentic. For instance, when you listen to Tiffany talk about, the work that she does, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to that scene, but the level of excitement and the way in which she articulates herself and the excitement about that feels more genuine to me than the interactions that we get with her and Lewis, if that makes any sense. So to me, that I feel like is a part of what I'm talking about when I take away a point for the Whitlows. And maybe it's something that they just haven't learned how to work out with being on camera together. I really don't know. But for me, that's why I'm taking away a minuscule point. Now, I'm also giving it a 9.9 because I feel like though this episode did not contain any knockdown, drag out fights, one of the things that I do appreciate about a show is that it can get back to its roots. You know what I'm saying? Um it can go back to the beginning. And it was nice to see the core six of this show be able to come and sit down and have a Ponderosa together and really hash some stuff out, especially in the wake of the giant altercation that we saw 2 episodes ago. And I want to ask you guys this question. Do you believe that it is the outside influences of Miss Wanda and the Marks of the world, the people who are attached to the cast, that are really the ones who are responsible for tearing this group apart in this way? Or do you guys think that it is the group themselves that have the responsibility to get these people in check? I want your opinion in the chat right now. With that being said, let's get into the episode. I mean, I think we there because we'll at this point we know what your ratings are because you put it in the chat. You know what my rating is and why. So let's go ahead and dive into the episode. All right. So the first thing that we happen to see is Melody Holt. She is getting ready for a little mini photo shoot that she is doing with her business. Nothing major, but she's getting some product shots. So, of course, she has done what any reasonable businesswoman would do, and she has invited Stormy over. What I like about this scene is that Melody recognizes the business acumen that Stormy seems to have, and the fact that Stormy is in more getting more stores in for Target. She's getting more stores for Walmart. She is literally pushing her business to new heights every time we see an episode with her. And so for me, I'm like, this is good to see because it's like it showed Melody is going to this woman to say, hey, I want your input on this because you've been here, done this, and I'm trying to get some pointers from you. Again, this is kind of what I feel like I wish Destiny would do with Stormy as well, because I do feel like Stormy could be of great value to Destiny. And though Destiny was not in this episode, I'm really referring back to this point because it's been the point that I've been trying to drive home with Destiny is that there are people on the show that are in positions to be able to help her. And these aren't handouts. This is what we do in our community, especially when you surround yourself with people who don't mind giving of their time and their knowledge. You have got to surround yourself with people who don't mind pouring into you because they have that knowledge, right? And Stormy, from my conversation with her, as well as what we're seeing on the show, seems like someone who is willing to share the knowledge. And that's it's not always that you will find that. And so I really, really like that. They talk about she fills Melody in on her conversations with Destiny and with Stormy, not with Stormy, but with Tiffany. And with regards to Destiny, Stormy feels like they're in a good space. She's not trying to be bosom buddies, best friends with her, but it's good to be in a better space. And Melody does seem genuinely happy about that. Then Stormy reveals that she met with Tiffany, and apparently Destiny told Tiffany that Melody made a beeline for Miss Wanda, but from Stormy's perspective, she only saw Miss Wanda run up from the bike, okay, and then try to, rag and tag Melody from the bike, okay. But the thing about it is, Stormy, from my what we saw on the camera, was inside the store, so she didn't see that Melody did in fact go and make a beeline for Miss Wanda. That part was true. She did. She was going to confront her about what Miss Wanda had just said about her kids. Period. Now, also, what is true is that maybe the part that Stormy saw was the fact that Miss Wanda did come from around the cause to do a rag, tack, tack, tack. But they had gotten Melody out the way before she could actually make contact, okay? Regardless, Melody feels like she's not surprised that Destiny feels like she started the fight because I guess, at this point, she's just used to Destiny thinking the worst in her anyway. And while it's debatable about who actually started the fight itself, the confrontation did come as a the fight did come as a result of Miss Wanda and Melody's confrontation. Okay. It was getting physical. Well, not I want to say getting physical. It was getting heated. So you had Letitia and Martell stepping in, and then things just kind of went left from there. Um, let's see here. We learn in this meeting with Stormy and Melody that they're about to have a meeting with the comeback group, and she tells her that they're trying to make some things happen about what they're going to do about Miss Wanda. Tiffany meets with the owner of a business called Bontel, which are eyeglasses for African Americans. Um, I don't really understand Tiffany's business. Maybe you guys can describe it to me in the chat. I really don't know. That's not to really take away from what she does, but I will say that when she talks about her business, she does seem way more passionate about it, and it comes across as more authentic to me than what the conversations are between her and Lewis. The bottom line with this conversation is that she is going to have an appointment with her, I think, with an OBGYN to take her IUD out. And then, she really wants his opinion about whether or not to leave it in or put it back in. Okay. So she says this. How about an ultimate? How about a compromise? I'll leave the IUD out for 6 months. We'll see what happens in 6 months because their original notion when they got married was that they didn't want to have any more kids. And she's not willing to slow down even when she does have the kid. I'm like, well, who gonna take care of the kid? But anyway, she says that the compromise can be if they don't have a baby within 6 months, then she's gonna end all baby talk in this situation. And Lord have mercy, I could not be happier. I mean, listen, it is no, I'm not, I want everybody procreate, please, please go out and be bountiful and multiply. But I am so tired of this conversation. Either do it or don't. Okay. And are we at the 6 month point now? Somebody please fill me in. They filmed the reunion just yesterday, so hopefully we'll know what month they at and whether or not she's expecting or not. Because I'm really over the storyline. So either have it or don't. Whatever the case may be. I mean, just do something. Okay. If they don't have one in 6 months, then Lewis just feels like that's God's way of telling them that it wasn't their time to do so, and they're gonna move on. Okay. All right. So everybody's getting ready for the comeback group meeting. Okay. You know, Kimmy and Maurice are discussing how things are going to continue within the group. Kimmy feels like people throw jabs in this group, but they can't take jabs. Letitia and Marceau talk about her mom, and she wants to call her mom because she want to get an update on what really was said about Melody and the cheering. Okay. And Marceau is like, but you saw her say these things with your own eyes and your own ears, but you still need to call her and ask her what she says. Because what Marceau is referring to is the things that Miss Wanda was saying to Melody while she was there in the altercation, about find your baby daddy, this, that, and the third, and everything I said, I meant it, yada, 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 things of that nature. And so Letitia still feels like, well, I need to call her and find out what she said on the live. And I'm like, well, girl, it don't really matter what she said on the live no more because she done actually said it right there while you were standing there. So at this point, I don't understand what you're calling her for now. But anyway, Letitia got to call her, get a word from Miss Wanda. Miss Wanda went live and she talked about who's your baby daddy. And Letitia says, oh, well, so you never said the child's name. It's like, girl, at a certain point in time, you have just got to let this, what is up. At the end of the day, had the situation been reversed and Miss Van has said these things about you, okay, that y'all would be pissed and PO'd and Miss Wanda would be trying to rip Miss Van to shreds, okay? So to me, I just kind of feel like that's a little bit of BS because it's like, that's, I feel like, Letitia says that Melody likes to play with words, but in fact, it is you and Miss Wanda who are playing with the words here. Because at the end of the day, you should just admit that your mom is wrong in this situation. In this situation, it doesn't matter who started what. Okay, it's where you go with it after you get it started. That is really what we're talking about here. And where she went was a reference or an inference to the kids, and that's the boundary that is being crossed. You ain't got to say the child's name in order for everybody to know who you're referring to. It's like the intent, what the intent was, right? So you can argue about the semantics of did she say the child's name or not? You know who she was talking about, who she meant, and the intent of her conversation on the live and in person. So to me, it's a moot point. Okay. So anyway, when they get there, Letitia asks Marceau, what is his expectation yet again? Okay. He starts talking about, I'm just trying to get full. And then he says, honestly, I'm just here so I don't get fined. Did y'all peep that? Because on some shows, if they have to have like some type of all cast meeting or all hands on deck Ponderosa and you don't show up, that could mean a little penalty for you. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what that penalty is, but it depends on your contract. And you want to make all the coins that you can. So the last thing you want to do is be sitting out of some meetings and ponderosas that you need to have. Okay. I do wonder if it was really Martell's idea to call this Ponderosa or if it was production's idea for this Ponderosa to happen. Because I mean, either way, I'll take it because something needed to be done. But behind the scenes, I'm interested in what happens behind the scenes of reality TV productions. Um, Even though if I did know, I would never say it out loud unless somebody told me I could. Like if I were behind the scenes and I could see what was happening, I wouldn't say, okay, out loud on a video. But in my mind, since I was not there, I want to know. Okay. So anyway, let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think production told them to have this Ponderosa, or do you think that it was really Martell's idea? Let me know what y'all think. Anyway, when they get to the spot, to the Ponderosa spot, she starts talking to him about, oh, I've never seen you like that before, yada yada yada. And he's like, well, I am a dangerous man and I don't want to be. So anyway, we finally get to the spot, okay? Kimmy and Maurice arrive after Letitia and Marceau, and they reflect on the beginning of the comeback group. And then finally, Melody and Martell arrive, and everybody hugs. Martell is ready to get down to the biz naive about what happened and how they all played a part in the altercation. So Tisha asks, well, do you want to get the discussion started? And basically he tells her, your mama need to go. Okay. From the point of boundaries being crossed, back when she started mentioning, Melody and Martell's daughter's hair, okay, that was issue number one that he confronted her about. Then she's back on live mentioning something that was aimed at Melody, but even if she's singling out someone's kid, it still involves him and it still involves the kid. So Tisha oddly agrees, but wants to know what Wanda said. So I'm like, you just called your mama and asked her what was said. You know what was said because you were there during the altercation when she was screaming at the top of her lungs, you need to find out who your baby daddy is. So you know what was said. And it was just, this was the aspect of Letitia that I didn't quite understand, because I can empathize with her wanting to defend her mom, but I can't empathize with her acting clueless as to what her mom is doing. Okay. Um, so Martell says, clears it up and says, well, baby, basically that the baby wasn't his. So then Letitia says that Miss Wanda didn't mention a child's name and that she didn't know if it was his child or not. She was just repeating what she heard Martell say. And so then we get a flashback of everything that Miss Wanda said at the fight. Okay. So Melody explains that this is the first time she's actually seen Miss Wanda in order to have that conversation with her. And Tisha feels like she and Mel go tit for tat. Mel feels like she's been respectful of Miss Wanda for a long time until Carlos's show, after she saw Wanda calling her all types of hoes and wild and loose, which Tisha says she didn't know. But that was also on Carlos King's show. I think it was like Wanda's Corner or something like that. I can't recall what came first, but all I know is that it all happened. So Maurice then talks to Melody and says, well, you could have called Miss Wanda. And Melody's like, I don't have her number. And to a certain degree, it's kind of like this. If you say something live, on a live, I think what happens is people feel like, well, because you said it on a live, I need to address you on a live or in some type of public forum, because that's the only way that my message is going to get across to you. And since you were so bold enough to say it out loud, now we got to have a ponderosa about exactly what you said. Okay. And so he asked her how would she have handled anything any differently, and Mel says, I would have done the same thing. Marceau says, well, I agree with Melody's actions. And I was like, now see, this is one of the reasons why I do respect Marceau, is because I do feel like he said what really honestly needed to be said. Like at the end of the day, it wasn't going to be but so long before Melody confronted Miss Wanda about the things that she was indicating about her and her child, okay, and the paternity of the child. And I hate the fact that I'm even having to mention a child in this recap. I absolutely hate it. I just literally I realize I cringe inside every time I have to even mention it, because it's so far from what I want to be talking about. That is why I'm so disgusted by it. It is so far beyond who I am as a person at this point in my life that I'm even doing a review about this, to be very honest. But anyway, this is my job, so I got to do what I got to do. Okay. Anyway, um, and then the interesting thing is Marceau says to Maurice, you did the exact same thing to Tiffany when she brought up Monster. Okay. Yet again, I'm having to talk about a child. Anyway, he tells Maurice the only difference is that Tiffany was contrite and apologetic. But if she had not been, and then Lewis had been about it, then y'all would have been fighting. Okay. And so Maurice at that point ain't got nothing to say, because he realizes that Marceau is right. Somebody was talking about your kid, and you definitely had a reaction. So why would you not expect somebody else to have a similar reaction? So Maurice ain't got nothing to say, and Martel says, you just lost your first case. Anyway, Marceau basically asks, has Wanda ever said anything unprovoked about anybody? And he's talking to Letitia basically, because he knows Marceau, for him, Marceau, Miss Wanda has come after him. She's come after Kimmy. She's come after, just a plethora of people on the show, okay, as a result of things that she will claim to have heard online, or things that she has seen that don't work in her daughter's favor, okay? And at a certain point in time, um, and Marceau I think he says something to the effect of he doesn't want the kids being around her. So then Maurice says that Wanda has been rewarded for being like this. And as a result, you know, everybody has taken a part in being rewarded for the bad behavior online, because what it does is it fuels the fire amongst the fans, and then the fans get involved, and then they become engaged because everybody has feelings about it. And then the social media of it all gets bigger, and people kind of begin to ride on the wave of that sort of toxic, going back and forth with each other on social media, right? So then Letitia still wants to know what she said on the live. I said, Tisha, girl, listen. We're not gonna sit up here and act like you don't know what she said. Okay. You know what she said. I love you, Miss Tisha. You know how I feel about you. But at the end of the day, you know what your mama said. Okay. Let's just call a spade a spade. Let the mouse go. We know you know what she said. It was said on the live. She said it in your face. She said it in Melody's face. She said it in everybody's face. Everybody was there. We know what was said. Okay. Marceau says he doesn't. Oh, the point of this was that she doesn't listen to those lives because they be long. Okay. Marceau says, well, I don't listen to those lives either because they're long. I also don't listen to Mark's lives, nobody's lives. So now Mark is pulled into this whole thing. Okay. Now, Mark, for those of you guys who may not know, is Marceau and Maurice's older brother. This is the person that was allegedly, I got to put the badge up, in some type of relation, okay? It's not clear what, with Miss Van, who is Melody's mama, okay? Now, apparently, according to them and according to some of y'all that tell me behind the scenes, okay, um, Mark, you know, has gone off on Facebook allegedly. I'm assuming it's Facebook because that's what y'all be telling me, okay? But I don't see these posts. So, and that's mostly because I'm on Facebook in the sense of sharing my content on Facebook, but I'm not in Facebook in terms of going too deep into research or knowledge of things that the cast does when they are in the face place, marketplace, or whatever they're doing there. Okay. I'm just not. I don't have time, to be very honest with you. Um, I it's enough to keep up with it on Instagram, you know what I'm saying, and the Twitter. So I can't be in all places at once. But I do know because y'all be telling me sometimes. Okay. Now, anyway, um, basically, Kimmy tells Marceau and Maurice that y'all shouldn't be basically saying all of this stuff about controlling Miss Wanda because y'all need to be over here trying to control Mark. All right. So Marceau and Maurice basically admit that they can't do nothing about Mark. Okay. Because Mark wants to vent and Maurice feels like Mark be aggressive and degrading and can't nobody stop him. Okay. Ain't no talking to him. This is according to them. Marceau says, I've done what I can, and that's it. All right. So Kimmy's like, well, if you saying that you've done all you can with him, then why are you saying that Tisha has to be making her mama do something? Now, while I agree something needs to be done, I also agree with Kimmy. What's good for the goose had to be good for the gander. So you gonna talk about one, you're gonna talk about the other. Let's figure it out. Okay. Let's figure it out. All right. So, anyway, what they all can agree on is that the six of them can coexist, not get along, go at it with each other, but never get to the point where they get physical. And this is the first time that's happened. And they are vowing at this point to keep the social media to a minimum in terms of what they say and reveal about each other on social media, which I think is great. And the funny thing about it is Martell, there's a point with production. hmm, y'all good. This is where moments where production shines to me because it's all in the nuance. The person that they chose to say this, he's gonna do better on social media in his confessional was Martell. But as we've recently seen both he and Melody going slam off on each other on the social media. Okay. Which had to be after, okay, they filmed this scene. All right. So you know what I mean? I just feel like here's the thing. I do feel like there is some degree of I'm torn on this one, right? I feel like, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you a contradiction. I thoroughly enjoy what Candy and what Dr. Heavenly do with their YouTube platforms, right? One could argue that Miss Wanda is doing the same. Do you guys see it as the same? Or do you feel like it's okay for Miss Wanda to do it as long as she doesn't cross the line of talking about kids? Let me know because that's really what it boils down to at the end of the day. I think it's great when cast members comment on the show, fill in the blanks for us, and you have to somewhat stay engaged in social media when you are on these platforms. But how far is too far? And I think that's the conversation that we're seeing across the board with a lot of different shows and what people say and do and reveal offline? That's the question. And so what is everyone's boundary? And that's where we end on this episode. We actually end on a really good note. I actually felt very good with seeing everyone hug at the end and kind of, and this is what I mean by good television, because I think one of the things that I have to give Carlos King props for is also, and the cast, is for knowing that for as much tension and buildup and chaos as you can show, it's also the balance of the relief and the release that you feel when you see a scene like this ended the way that it ends. But next week, we're right back to the mess, okay? Because Kiki's back, okay? Kiki's back. And you know what? While we're here, why don't we take a look at um some of the looks from the Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion that just filmed. Why don't we do this? Because we always look at some of, I mean, the only difference is we haven't gotten all of the looks, but we have some. So the first one I happened to see was Mel, and I'm taking these from the Love and Marriage Huntsville page on Instagram. If you're a fan of Love and Marriage Huntsville, the show, or Love and Marriage DC, definitely follow Love and Marriage Huntsville. It's run by Lula, who is the one of the most just beautiful, authentic people I have ever met online virtually. And she does such a great job with just like showing clips of the show, being supportive, great conversations and stuff like that. And I can't really just hype her up enough because, and again, you guys know that's what I do, or I like to do, is hype people up. But this is Melody's look, and I felt like, wow, like styled by Jay Bolin. I mean, and y'all know if you are a fan of fashion and style, you know that Jay Bolin is just just does it, okay, just always gets it right. So I love Melody's look. I feel like this is so, it's I mean, it's glam to the max. We also have let's see if I can get it right. We also have Stormy's look. We got Stormy rocking the short cut. We got an amazing looking dress that shows Stormy's great body. We see lots of leg here, lots of body yada yada here. And we also have a look from Kiki. Okay. It appears as though Kiki was at the reunion and she's looking quite amazing. Um, I This is probably one of the best looks that I've seen for Kiki since I've seen her on the show. And that's definitely not to knock her. It's just that this look is just such a knockout. Let me know what you guys think about some of these looks so far. These are the only ones that I've seen online. If you guys have seen any, online, let me know in the chatterization down below. With that being said, this is the review for Love and Marriage. Huntsville. And with that being said, we is gonna make our way on out of here. As you guys know, most of you guys love the dancing intro that we do. I need to work on a new one because I just need to take the Lisa Rinna of it out because there's some stuff that she said recently that I just can't honestly rock with anymore. And there's one thing to be the villain on a show, and I could be disgusted by your actions as a villain on the show, and I can also be disgusted by some of your actions on social media. But then when you start to say really foul and disgusting things, which we can talk about in another video, I have to take a space for the um understanding that people who view this channel uh likely view this channel to be entertained, have fun. We get out our thoughts and our feelings about, the things that we see in the episodes. But when it gets to a place where the person begins to say really vile things, and I'm talking like extremely vile, I get to a point where I can no longer begin to use that image of fun and her dancing because it is representative of who she is as a person at this point, in my opinion. And so as a result, I can't rock with that. So I'm going to update that as soon as I get some time. I'm going to take some time this afternoon to just kind of chill out and relax and all that good stuff. But make sure you guys continue to keep up with the channel, and I will catch you guys in the next video.